the other thing is, on top of what I've been saying about like it will create automatic value, so it might squeeze out the deals. Maybe during times like this when rates spike up and you're starting to see people aggressively drop pricing, maybe it'll give like its own negative feedback loop, which will cause the
Oh,
estimate
100%.
values
Yeah.
to just drop off a cliff. Like it could actually, like I foresee the biggest thing coming out of this is once it starts to get applied more, whether it be in real estate or any other business, the AI valuations might overshoot themselves. They give themselves either a positive feedback loop where it's like, oh yeah, one sold for 150 and then one sold for 175 and one sold for 225, and like it'll just be
Yeah,
like,
it goes
oh okay,
quadratic
based
with
on
it, yeah.
this, it'll give you like a quadratic thing, and it'll be like, okay, we're going to 400 on the next one, like,
Right.
or vice versa. It's like, okay, across the whole city, every single firm up today on this Friday, like I feel like Halifax is a prime city where we don't sell that many homes. Where like if we get one big $3 million
skew
house
everything.
sold, it
Yeah.
skews all the numbers. Something like that takes place, and then immediately the AI is like, oh, like the average this week was $100,000 more, and
Yeah.
now all the homes in the city are going to be estimated at $100,000 more.
You
and
say
we've
that, but
come
man,
so
like
confident
I
in
think
believing it.
based on this technology, they could probably figure out what an outlier is. You know what I mean? Like it's, but your point isn't lost, and I think especially
But it might not
because
be one outlier, right? Like you look
Yeah.
at this, like all the prices have dropped, interest rates are up,
Yeah.
sentiment is down.
that's the key.
It might
Yeah.
overshoot by 20%.
Yeah.
And
Also,
then-
if it's getting data from, not to go all media this, media that, like if it's taking its data from media articles,
forecasts and
and-
expectations from all these big banks. Like every big bank put out a forecast on where they expect real estate to go. And so it's going to take all those in. Then it's going to see, okay, all the houses that sold the last 4 weeks have been 10% lower. And so it's going to drop the estimates. And what's going to happen is all the realtors are going to be using that to complete their CMAs, or the realtors AI is going to be completing its market analysis based on that. So now it's going to reduce the price on those.
Yeah.
So now we're going to present to our clients a lower price for their homes. And there will be people who accept that, because there's a lot of people who just like, they don't look as their home as a money making tool. They just, it's worth something at a certain point in time, or I need to sell, or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. And then it just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's something that's going to happen like in 2 weeks. It's just going to happen, but there will be fluke scenarios that I think will cause a runaway. And it might not be real estate though. It might be some other item where the data gets utilized and is more heavily trusted.
Yeah.
And it'll cause, you know what I mean? Because I think we'll start, like you said, we even said it here earlier, is eventually we're going to get to the point where we'd rather talk to AI, because it'd be to the point, we get the answers we want, it's super fast, there's no bullshit. So then we're going to start to trust AI more than humans, because humans lie and stuff, but AI doesn't. But when AI makes a
Well,
mistake,
AI doesn't, but like it's depending on
who inputs the data?
who inputs the data.
Exactly.
Right?
But
Like,
it's, we have
That's
this.
why I was interested to ask it a question about, say, communism, and see if but that's a good example, because effectively what they'll be able to do is give definitions, but will not give much in the way of interpretation, right? So they may be able to give you data, but can they interpret the data? And let's be honest, like what we're doing when you talk about investment in general, it's about risk and return, right? So, and
Yeah.
it might be able to say, this is the level of risk, or a possible couple outcomes. These are the possible returns. But someone then has to intervene and give some guidance of like, is that risk reward likely,
So-
or like what risk are you comfortable with, or where do we feel in this risk scheme do we fall? Because yeah, if that's the universal risk for a wide cross section of buyers, what do we bring to the table that maybe mitigates that risk and possibly raises the return, right? Like that's an individual thing. So it'll still need interpretation, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. I just asked ChatGPT if it thinks AI can create positive feedback loops. It gave a very long-winded answer because it defines every main word. But it says, yes, it is very possible for AI to create a positive feedback loop. And basically, that's an experiment for us, it's an experience for the AI. And from that, it'll learn and improve. But I'm like, well, if you accidentally positive feedback loop all the home values in an entire city, and it causes people millions of dollars or billions of dollars of damage, the AI is like, well, I learned from this one. I'm going to do a little better. And it's actually similar to what we're experiencing from all the economists at the BOC and in the federal governments that are trying to do this. They're like, look, we've had positive feedback loops or negative feedback loops in the past that have caused huge recessions, and we're trying to learn from those and soften the blow next time. Anyways, I thought that was just an interesting thing that ultimately I think we'll get to a point where we trust it so much that it might actually have a very negative kind of impact on what happens to us.